Hey, what's up, everybody? So I have an interesting story to share with you. There is this girl who had applied to and was granted admittance to a law school, and she gave up her seat just 1 week before orientation. And this girl wrote a nice article here on FEE, that's the Foundation for Economic Education. And she had gone to UCLA undergrad and had gone to a decent law school. She doesn't say exactly what it is, but it seems like it's a decent one after going to UCLA. And she noted why she ended up leaving. And I think the reasons that she ended up dropping out of the program before it even started with orientation are reasons that I have described before as to why most people should probably not go to law school. And in her article here, she reports that 95% of the students going to law school these days are taking out loans for their law school experience, and they're graduating with like $150,000 in debt. And the median salary for graduates is about $75,000 in the private sector. It's about $55,000 in the public sector. And I think these numbers are even not really communicating the true nature of what people are making, especially when you consider how long it takes to find a job and sometimes how someone is taking lower paid work to try to get their foot in the door somewhere, whether it's being an assistant to a lawyer, paralegal, or something like that, where they kind of have to work their way up to even get a full-time position, which I've personally seen from friends of mine and other people who have done such things. So she notes here as well, the median salary has largely stayed stagnant and is even decreasing. And again, this is because so many people are trying to go to law school and they think that this is their golden ticket to riches. And the fact is that it's just not. And it's because there's so many lawyers out there right now. And, you know, with the government doing so many different things to mess with the market, it's just hard to find work that you both enjoy and pays back those loans. It's just really crazy out there if you're trying to be a lawyer, especially without any type of past experience, like work experience. Maybe it's being a legal secretary, paralegal, or just anything. You know, if you're going from undergrad to law school, you're already at a competitive disadvantage with those who are there and have prior work experience that they can show, you know, tends to give them credibility for their application, showing their work habits. So right now, you know, I'd say that the things I've said in my video, the JD being a scarlet letter, still holds up. By and large, if you don't have savings, where your parents are able to pay for your debt and your experience, or you don't have like a spouse or really close, you know, significant other who's able to pay for the bills while you're trying to find work, you're going to have a really rough time after graduation, by and large, for most people. I mean, unless you're going to a T14 school or, you know, you just have the family connections, like maybe your dad, your grandpa were lawyers, like things like that, you're going to be able to join their firm. It can be very difficult for your typical undergrad straight to law school graduate to find work. And right now, I would say that this, you know, trend is not getting any better. She actually noted that there's been a huge jump already with more people applying for law school. It said right here, it was in 2020, 2021, there was a 35% increase from the prior year, which had already seen a 56% increase in applications. Again, whenever there's economic downturn, what do people do? They're like, oh, I'll just keep going to school and hope things get better, you know, when it gets out. And I experienced that because when I was, you know, going to law school, there's a lot of people there who after the 07, 08 crash were doing that kind of thing. And I saw firsthand that that didn't really fix the problem, because at the end, there was still the structural problems with the economy thanks to government intervention. And it's just one of those things where if you don't really think through the financials carefully and your personal situation, you can end up making a really terrible decision. And a lot of lawyers end up not liking where they end up practicing and are very unhappy because the work can be very demanding. And if you ended up just taking whatever you could get so you can start paying down loans, it can be extra rough. Right. And once you have the JD with your name, you get blackballed from all kinds of work. I mean, people who say, oh, it opens up doors, that's a total lie. You will be blackballed from far more things than it will ever open the doors for you. Anyone who sees you with the JD will think, oh, what's wrong with this person? They have flake or something like that. You know, if you're trying to do other types of work, it does not help you by and large. With some, you know, rare exceptions if you're transitioning to like financial sector, or like maybe you're going to be a mortgage broker or something where it's like, okay, it's tied into the kind of work you do. But by and large, again, it's going to close more doors more than it's going to open them for you. And for what I've seen even personally and talked to lots of attorneys over the years, it's not something that should be taken lightly, this type of debt load. If you don't have the means to be able to afford 6, 8, 12, even more months than that of time where you may not find the exact kind of work you want to do. You might be stuck in doing document review or something like that for 50 or 20 bucks an hour, or just try to take anything just to get experience until you can find something that's an actual full-time real attorney position. So my advice still holds up to everybody. If you are in the bracket, right, you're maybe in the top 15, 100, maybe a little bit above 100 law schools application range, you really should be going to a school only if you can go there for free, right? You really should try to apply for a place where you can get a full ride, because the more in debt you are, the more you limit yourself if you end up not liking where you're going. And for those who are going to the really lower schools, I generally advise against it. I think for some people, the people who do the best with that tend to be those who are later career people who are doing night classes or something like that. They've already done another field, and they have some resources and whatnot. So they're just doing a lower tier school so they can do the night class or whatever. That happens here or there. And again, there's always going to be some exceptions. But again, when we're talking about the overwhelming majority, you're going to have a bad time trying to just go to law school and thinking, oh yeah, this is my golden ticket to riches. Yeah, it's going to end up cost you more in the end, and more than ever, as so many people are applying and they're depressing the average, lawyer's salary, as there's more and more of a pool of applicants to choose from. And I definitely experienced that, because I had a great overall profile. I had a first year internship that was very good. I had clinical practice where I actually practiced law, myself, as a certified legal intern. So, I had some pretty great experiences and overall decent grades, and even made, dean's lists and things like that. But it didn't matter when I'd apply for jobs that were supposed to be entry level. And they're like, oh yeah, you look great, but we found someone with 5 years experience for this entry level position. It's so the amount of times I can't even count on my hands how many times that happened in my application process to different jobs. So again, your competition out there is very stiff. And if you don't have the financial means to hold over during your loan repayment period, it can be very daunting and it can be very frustrating. So again, if you're seriously thinking about going to law school, please take some time, if you can, to try to get some experience first somehow, whether it's volunteering at some type of not-for-profit legal clinic, doing guardian ad litem, maybe working as a legal secretary, paralegal, runner, anything, just to try to check it out and be sure this really is the direction you want to go to. Talk to lawyers, see what it's like for them. Try to see what you can do to reduce your debt load, ideally zero. And don't forget, if you don't factor in all the other expenses, you're going to have a bad time, right? So you really need to take time to check out what the cost of living is going to be, your food expenses, the books, the tuition, your period leading up to the bar, studying for that in your bar program. And then, of course, you got to wait till you're actually licensed. So you got to factor in how you're paying for all those expenses until your license comes through, in terms of passing the bar. You really have to think about this long term. And if you run the numbers and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that, then it's probably not a good thing for you. If you don't have a strategy or a means to deal with all that, it's going to be a really bad time. So again, reduce your risk. If you are serious and you do check out everything and really think, okay, this is for me, then go ahead and, again, please try to go for as free as possible, if not absolutely free. Again, with the caveats being, if your parents are paying for it, right, I guess it doesn't matter, right? If you already come from money, like, yeah, law school's paid for, well, whatever, okay. Or if you're going to, a top 14 school, obviously, typically those students are going to do better. There's always exceptions to that, though. But again, if you're going to Harvard Law, you're probably going to be okay. So it's really just the bulk of law school applicants, in the top 15 to 100, maybe 150 law schools kind of thing. Your bulk of typical lawyers out there. Again, the majority of people who are practicing law, the majority of lawyers are not at Ivy League schools, right? The majority of lawyers are not at all T4 schools there, they're not at the bottom, right? The majority of lawyers are going to all the major state institutions, at the 50 states in the United States. So if you're in that zone, especially if you're in that zone, try to go for as free as possible, if not, absolutely free. Try to save, try to work, so you can pay for some stuff while in school, that kind of thing. And I would say the number one piece of advice I could say, even beyond that, I could give is that the place to spend most of your money actually is in preparation before law school for the LSAT, right? If you are very serious, where you want to spend your money is on getting as much LSAT prep as possible and trying to get the highest score you can get on the LSAT. I mean, of course, your GPA counts too, and that is important, but usually by the time you're applying for law school, most of your GPA is set. I mean, yeah, you can nudge it forward a little bit, but by the time you're applying, again, it's mostly set by that point, in which case you need a B plus average minimum usually to even be thinking about law school. But the money you really should be spending and the time you should be spending is getting the highest score you can on that test, because that's going to be, by and large, what unlocks the academic scholarships for you, right? The higher your LSAT is, and if you have a decent GPA, you're unlocking scholarships at schools that now you might actually be able to go for free. And then, of course, usually you have to maintain like a B average kind of thing at most schools, 3.0 or higher, whatever system they're going to use at your relative school, so or respective school. So hopefully that helps. And again, don't give yourself a scarlet letter that you don't have to. And if you want to read this article for yourself, that's on the Foundation for Economic Education with the author here is Brett Cooper. I linked it down below so you can check that out for yourself. All right. Take care, everybody, and good luck on whatever it is you end up doing, whether you're trying to go to law school or otherwise.